Don't forget to follow the Meticulous Manicurist on your social media sites and click that subscribe button to know when I upload the next video. Hello! Thanks for joining me today. Today's tutorial is going to be on something that I call evanesce nails. And evanesce means to fade away, to gradually fade away. We're going to be using colored acrylic and lots of glitter, so stay tuned for the full tutorial. Alright, so before we do this, I'm going to tell you what you're going to need. So I have already done one hand, and then I'm going to show you how to do the other hand. I used a custom mix pink acrylic, which I used a pink acrylic that I bought really cheap on eBay, and I mixed it half and half with Boogie Nights Nightlight, which is amazing. I put this in everything. And then we're also going to do the backs of the nails, and to do the backs of the nails I use it's called Fantasy Maker's Confetti. It's like an additive, a creative nail additive. And then I made a pink one to match the color of my pink acrylic, and I mixed that with two of the creative nail additives. I mixed Haute Pink and Violet Pearl together to get that. So I'm going to get rid of this mess I've got going on this hand, and then we're going to get started with the tutorial. Alright, so we're ready to get started on our nails today. I've already done one hand, because you don't want to sit here watching me do my left hand because it's a nightmare. So any of you who think that you've been doing nails forever and doing your left hand will get easier, not so much. I mean, it does, but still after 23 years, still a nightmare. So I had acrylic on this hand. I've already filed it off. I'm still going to go ahead and push back my cuticles. I'm using a little cuticle pusher that has a little knife edge on it. You can sometimes feel little clicking with the pusher when you push back, and you know that that's skin, so you make a mental note to go back with your file and to file that off. I'm also inspecting each nail as I go. Like this one has a little chip out of the end. I know that I'm going to have to repair that with the acrylic. This one is completely messed up. It's got a little crack in it too, but I don't want to shorten it. I want to keep it that length. The same with this one, it has a little missing edge. All those cuticles pushed back. Make sure your sidewalls are nice and clean too. Now I use my file. I sit it on the nail wall and I make sure that my nails are nice and straight. This fingernail always grows crooked. You can see the gap in between the nail and the file, so I always add a tiny bit more to that side to make it look more symmetrical. The same with this side right here. On there. And you can still see a little bit of the acrylic left on the nail plate. That doesn't matter at all. Make sure all the dust is removed, because acrylic won't stick to your nails if there's any debris left on the nails. You're going to make sure that you prime them. Primer only goes on the natural nail. Get primer on acrylic, it yellows, and sometimes you can see through the acrylic that discoloration, and then it's just not very pretty. Okay, so the theory behind evanesce nails is it's going to fade from the color to no color, but our no color is going to be silver glitter. So our first nail is going to be all pink acrylic, and this is the pink acrylic that I mixed with the Boogie Nights. You want to sit it as close to the cuticle as you can without touching the cuticle, and then start to pull your acrylic up the nail plate. Just try to use nice, even pressure. And remember, if your acrylic starts to set up on you, to wet your brush and then wet the acrylic. It'll give you a little bit more time, not a whole lot more time, but enough that you're not going to get a big lump that you're going to have to file off. Now when you do nails, you always want to be looking down the nail to make sure it's symmetrical, and from the side of the nail to make sure that it looks like it's growing out of the cuticle, and then tapering back down at the tip. Okay, any little imperfections I can file out from there. Need a little bit more right there. Okay, so on the second nail, we're going to start with our silver glitter, which is an amazing color. And you can see on this hand, there's just going to be a tiny bit at the base of the nail. To look like it's blending. perfection in the shape, but I need for that acrylic to dry a tiny bit more before I push it up, because I don't want it to run down underneath the nail, and then I'm going to have to file something off. It does bubble under. Just take your brush and push up like that. Now this is the nail that grows crooked, so I need to add a tiny bit of width to that side. Now your acrylic, the dry time, that's what I'm trying to say, spit it out, depends on the temperature of the room. So if your acrylic isn't setting up, it's probably because it's a little chilly in your room, and if it's setting up too fast, it's probably a little too warm in your room. So you can get a little tiny fan and sit it on the side of your table to circulate air to help with either of those issues. And if it's too cold, you know, it's a little heating, little portable heater. Keep it next to your table. Okay, so I don't want it to look like one solid line where they meet, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit more of the silver at the back. Brush it up. Now our next nail is going to have a little bit more of the silver. To look like a line, so I'm just going to play with the shape of it here a little. Make it look like it's melting into the paint. I'm just letting the acrylic move down and set up a little bit before I start playing with it. Otherwise, if you put on a ball that's wet, it just sticks to your brush. So you need to let it dry for a sec. Dry and settle down, I guess. Hold that acrylic up to try to correct that misshape. It's starting to get heavy and settle down, so I've got to press up so it can set up a tiny bit more. Then I'm going to have to file off. Some of that. We're going to correct this shape also. tends to drift to the left. When you use tips, it's not a big deal because you can correct that instantly by the way you glue the tip on, but not when you're putting acrylic on your own nail. You can correct a shape without putting a form on. Saves you a lot of time. So, try it. Just have to play with the consistency of the acrylic. And the time it takes to set up. Alright, so then we will shape this nail back to oval. When we're filing, I'm going to go back and add that tiny bit. Finger is going to have more. I love using colored acrylic because my nails always look good. Even if I hit it with the file, you can't tell that I've nicked it. When I wear gel polish, it's got scuff marks all over it. Correct that nicked out portion. Do any of you ever find yourself talking to the acrylic? I do all the time. Like, no, you do not go there. Get back over here. That up a little bit where we corrected our shape so it doesn't hang down there and dry. I'm going to show you today how I use a hand file to make sure that your nails are nice and symmetrical too, so stay tuned for that. Okay, and our thumbnail, it's going to be all silver glitter. So be sure you're paying attention when you do twist your fingers if you're doing your own nails. But this is going to run, so don't put it too close to the cuticle to start with before you start turning your hand. You're going to have a big blob right in your nail wall. And there's doggy number 2. Without her trying to get on my lap today. So I'm using the brush from here to here. The tip of the brush is on the portion of the nail that I know is pretty even. It's my guide. There's that portion I extended. You've got to make sure that that stays up, 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 up. Stay there. Now, I have a teeny tiny little blow dryer. It's like this big. So if I'm in a hurry, something's not staying where I want it to go, I just turn that little blow dryer on and dry the acrylic a little bit, and then I can move it and make it stay where I want it. And after I've got that tip shape done, then I can go back on top and add my acrylic to make my tapering look good. From the side, I can see a missing spot here. I need to add some there. Add a tiny bit over there. So over the years, you'll get an eye for the shape that you need. And it's just like sculpting. You're just using a medium that's temperamental. That's a good word. Okay, so that's better. I just got that on my skin. You gotta get that off right away. If you don't get that off, your acrylic, where it touches the skin right there, it's gonna be like a vein to let moisture and oils from your skin seep up under your acrylic, and you're gonna get a little lifted spot. So when your clients come in and their nails are lifting from the sides and you're like, what in the world's going on? Just make sure that your acrylic isn't touching their skin when you're done doing their nails. Doing a client's nails is so much easier. I'm going to file that little thing off, that little divot. Okay, so we're all done. I'm going to show you how to file them. Move all this stuff out of the way. And I will spill this if I don't get the lid on it. Okay. So, before you start to file your nails, you want to push back the skin on each side of your nails. See, there's a tiny bit of acrylic right there that was touching my skin. That one's okay. That one's okay. I can feel this one is touching it a tiny bit. That one is touching a tiny bit. And those are okay. Okay, so we're going to do our sidewalls. We're going to straight up and down and just slightly under. Same on this side. Because you want a nice shape. And as soon as you get a good system, you do the same to every single nail so it looks the same. Now we're going to go across the cuticle in the back. Now when I do this part, I'm only using this much of the file because I don't want any of it flattening out the rest of the nail. I'm only tapering the part where it grows out of the cuticle because I want it to look like it's growing out of the cuticle. I don't want it to look like an artificial nail. Now I'm going to draw an imaginary line down my nail plate. Find the center, and I'm going to make sure that my shape is right. So I found my center, and I'm going to round this side, and I'm going to round this side. And if you're ever fighting with why doesn't your nail look the same, you have to make sure that the round part ends at the same point on this side, and it ends at the same point at this side. Under the nail. So now we're going to file the top. To do my own nails, I have to sit it on my thumb. So yeah, it's turning. Okay, we're going to sit it on the top and we're going to make arching motions. First, we're going to do the tip to taper it out. I'm shaking the table. Sorry, camera. And then we're going to go down the nail, back to the cuticle. Tip, middle, back. Tip, middle, back. Now I can see a little, see that little white line? I know that nothing underneath it got filed. So I'm going to blend that until I don't see, now I don't see that anymore. Okay, that one's done. Now the same for the next one. Remember that one was touching my skin, so I'm going to make sure that that's filed off. that side, go across the cuticle. I never use an electric drill on a client's nails to file. I can do a better job by hand. Everything is more symmetrical because rubbing that electric bit across the nail, it's like every nail, everybody's hands look the same. I don't want everybody's hands to look the same. I want them to look like their nails. Start at the tip, across, all the way from side to side. Center, beautiful. Tip, center, beautiful. I'm going to go real slow so you can see this. So we're going to taper the tip. You want it to look nice and feminine. So you don't want to make it too thin because then it looks like the nail's pinched at the end. And you can see that you like the shape. Then you start to go back. Tip, center, beautiful. You're doing clients' nails at the salon and you're scheduled for 45 minutes, do not sit there and nitpick over every little thing that isn't perfect. Nails aren't perfect. I mean, they need to look good. Don't get me wrong. If something's crooked and really obvious. But if you're doing everything the same way, filing it the same way, shaping it the same way, everything should be pretty symmetrical. So you're always looking down the nail. See, it's a tiny bit higher right there. So I'll go down the tip, go down the center. So when you put your nail file underneath here, that's where it's going to make that height at the sides where your rounded part starts symmetrical. So after we're finished filing, I'm going to show you how I color the back of the nails to match the tips. So keep watching. It's a little thinner on that side, but I'm good with it. Alright, so after we file, we're going to take a buffer. This is a 100-180 disinfectable file buffer. This is just going to remove all of those file lines out of the acrylic. Sometimes you can feel better with your fingers, so I always run my finger across to make sure that I don't feel any little lumps or bumps or grooves. Sometimes you can't see them, that's where you put polish on. So it's better to use your finger before you polish. Okay, so we're going to dust them off really well. And now we're going to put a clear coat of gel on top. Gel just makes that glitter amazing. Look at that. So nice. Cure this. So we have to remove that tacky surface. With alcohol on top of the nail. Now we want to make sure that the underside of our nails are nice and clean, because we're going to put some additives underneath there to make them match the tip of the nail. I hate seeing dirty nails. Someone, So, I'm starting to melt. It's so hot in here. Okay. So we're going to put a coat of clear gel under our nail tip. Really thin. As if it globs up down in that little groove. You can feel it. It's so weird. You might want to pull back your skin a little bit too. So the brush doesn't touch it. Or it'll cure on your finger and then you'll have to peel it off. Cure this. Alright, so now, remember I mixed these two additives to get the color of pink that matches the acrylic tip. So we're going to take that, and then this little crazy confetti maker's silver confetti in my tiny little brush. And then we're going to put another top coat and cure. We're going to use this little nail light. I just fold it into a little square so it has a tip on it. Some alcohol on it. And just run it underneath there to get that sticky coat off. And there you have it. That's what I call Evanescence nails. Gradually fades from one color to another. And then a little bit of cuticle oil to moisturize. The skin that we've been abusing for the past 40 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel and help me grow my audience by sharing my tutorials. Thanks and have a great day.